we can say that Keir Starmer is one of the most ruthless, self-seeking individuals and unprincipled individuals to come across. So that gives me hope. He needs to bring her in, he needs to say, Rachel, you're fired. And if he does that, we can change this policy.
Breaking news today as we uncover a massive government scandal that will impact every single person watching right now. A high-level government insider has just blown the whistle on catastrophic economic mismanagement that threatens to upend everything we've been told. Nick Williams, one of Downing Street's most trusted special advisors, has quit in protest and is now revealing the truth about what's happening behind closed doors. This is not speculation. This is not rumor. This is direct testimony from someone who sat in the rooms where decisions affecting your financial future were made. If you care about your taxes, your benefits, your economic security, you need to watch this entire report. Because what I'm about to share with you is the reality the government is desperately trying to hide. Before we dive deeper, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications.
We're going to do things differently. We're going to tell the truth, even when they are hard truths.
And yet, number 10, just now, this is what we were voted in to do. There will be no deviation. We're trying to create growth and improve the lives of normal working people. What, by freezing them to death, you idiots?
This story is developing by the hour, and you'll want immediate updates as more information emerges. Let's start with who Nick Williams actually is and why his testimony is so devastatingly credible. Nick Williams served as a Treasury civil servant before being personally selected to join the Downing Street Policy Unit as a special advisor. His expertise and insider knowledge were so valued that he was eventually promoted to become Labour's head of economic policy. This isn't some disgruntled junior staffer. This is someone who had direct access to the Prime Minister and Chancellor. Someone who saw the real numbers. Someone who helped craft the very policies that are now impacting millions of British citizens. And now, he's walking away from it all. But he's not going quietly. Williams' resignation letter, which we've obtained exclusively, paints a picture of complete economic chaos within number 10 and 11, Downing Street. According to our sources, the letter describes 1. Systematic rejection of expert economic advice. 2. Deliberately misleading public statements about the nation's finances. 3. A government in total disarray, prioritizing political optics over national stability. What makes Williams different from other departing advisors is his unprecedented decision to speak out now, rather than waiting for memoirs or interviews years down the line. He believes the public deserves to know the truth immediately about what's really happening with your money. The revelations from Nick Williams are nothing short of shocking. And I need to emphasize, these aren't allegations we're making. These are direct statements from someone who was there, in the room, as these decisions were made. First and most alarmingly, Williams has stated categorically that the public spending plans announced in the recent spending review are, in his professional assessment, not credible. What does this mean? According to Williams, the numbers simply don't add up. The plans haven't been properly costed. The impact assessments are incomplete. And most concerning of all, many within government don't even fully understand the proposals they're defending publicly. In Williams' own assessment, which we verified with 2 other Treasury sources, these spending plans represent a house of cards that could collapse at any moment, with devastating consequences for public services and the broader economy. But it gets worse. Williams has confirmed what many experts have suspected but the government has repeatedly denied. Tax increases are inevitable in the autumn budget. Despite Chancellor Rachel Reeves repeatedly assuring the public that the government can deliver on its promises without significant tax rises, Williams states unequivocally that this is false. The economic reality, according to Williams, is that the current fiscal position makes tax increases unavoidable. This means that British taxpayers, already facing the highest tax burden in generations, will soon be asked to pay even more. But why? Where is all this money going? Williams points to several factors. 1. Unplanned and emergency spending on international commitments. 2. Massive budget shortfalls discovered after taking office. 3. Critical underestimation of infrastructure costs. 4. policy decisions made for political expediency rather than economic sense. And here's what should worry you most. Williams believes the autumn budget represents the government's final opportunity to implement meaningful change. After that point, the electoral timetable means there simply won't be enough time for any future policies to deliver tangible results before the next general election. In Williams' assessment, the October budget is quite literally make or break for the government's entire economic strategy. But the most disturbing revelation concerns the future of personal independence payments, or PIP, which millions of vulnerable Britons rely on. What I'm about to share will be deeply concerning for anyone who relies on personal independence payments or knows someone who does. According to Nick Williams, ministers had initially planned to freeze PIP payments temporarily, until planning reforms could be implemented to boost economic growth. This was presented internally as a short-term measure with a clear exit strategy. But the truth, Williams reveals, is far more alarming. Williams states that the government has now accepted internally that their planning reforms will not generate the economic growth they've promised. The reforms that were supposed to offset benefit freezes are, in Williams' words, dead in the water. Yet despite knowing this, the government is moving forward with changes to PIP anyway. Let that sink in. Millions of vulnerable citizens, many with disabilities or long-term health conditions, face potential benefit cuts because of a policy the government knows won't deliver the promised economic benefits. Williams describes the mood at the Treasury as dour, because officials recognize that they've created a situation from which there may be no easy escape. We've reached out to the Department for Work and Pensions for comment on these allegations. Their response was that they remain committed to supporting those who need it most while ensuring the welfare system is sustainable. They declined to address Williams' specific claims directly. So what does this mean for you? What should you be preparing for? Let's break down exactly what these revelations mean for your finances, your future, and the country's economic stability. First, let's talk taxes. Williams has confirmed that tax increases are coming in the autumn budget. But which taxes? Who will be most affected? Based on our analysis and information from Williams' statements, these are the most likely areas for tax increases. 1. Income tax, potential freezing of thresholds for higher rate taxpayers. 2. Capital gains tax, likely increases for property and investments. 3. Inheritance tax, possible reduction in thresholds and exemptions. 4. National insurance, potential employer contribution increases. Williams specifically mentioned that these tax increases will be necessary to fund defense commitments and address immigration policy costs. This represents a significant shift from previous government messaging that suggested these priorities could be funded through economic growth and efficiency savings. But perhaps most concerning is what Williams revealed about the government's fiscal rules. While he acknowledged that the rules themselves are responsible and fair in principle, he stated plainly that the government keeps breaking them. This suggests a troubling pattern of setting public expectations and economic guardrails, only to abandon them when politically expedient. Economic experts we've consulted suggest this approach creates dangerous uncertainty in markets. Professor Elizabeth Harrington from the London School of Economics told us, when governments repeatedly break their own fiscal rules, it erodes confidence among investors and can lead to higher borrowing costs. Ultimately, those costs are passed on to taxpayers. And there's another critical dimension to consider. Williams pointed out that when tax burdens become excessive, wealthy individuals and businesses often relocate to more favorable tax jurisdictions. This creates what economists call a death spiral. Higher taxes lead to wealth emigration, which reduces the tax base, requiring even higher taxes on those who remain, triggering more departures, and so on. The question we should all be asking is, are we approaching this tipping point? And if we are, what happens to essential public services when the tax base can no longer support them? Perhaps the most striking revelation from Nick Williams is his assessment that the upcoming autumn budget represents the government's final opportunity to make meaningful economic change during this parliamentary term. Williams states that due to the time lag between policy implementation and tangible economic effects, anything done after the autumn budget simply won't produce visible results before the next general election. This creates an extraordinary pressure cooker situation within government. They have essentially one shot to get this right, and according to Williams, they're nowhere near ready. Williams advocated for combining the spending review and budget into a single comprehensive economic event. His reasoning was that this would not only provide greater clarity to the public but would also make it easier for the Office for Budget Responsibility to monitor progress and hold the government accountable. The government rejected this approach, raising serious questions about transparency and accountability. Why separate these events if not to obscure the full economic picture? Multiple sources within the Treasury have confirmed to us that the gap between the government's public projections and internal assessments is significantly large. This suggests that the economic situation is far worse than the public is being told. Former Chancellor George Osborne, commenting on these revelations, said, "If what Williams is saying is accurate, we're looking at a government that has effectively lost control of the public finances within months of taking office. That's unprecedented in modern British politics." An interview with an economic expert reveals that what's particularly concerning about Williams' revelations is that they suggest fundamental misalignment between policy development and implementation. When special advisors who helped create economic policy are publicly stating that the execution bears little resemblance to the recommendations, that indicates serious dysfunction at the heart of government. The consequences of getting this autumn budget wrong aren't just political. According to the Institute for Fiscal Studies, mistaken policy decisions now could lead to 1. Prolonged economic stagnation. 2. Reduced public service quality across healthcare, education, and policing. 3. Deteriorating infrastructure. 4. Diminished international investment. The stakes couldn't be higher. So where does this leave us? What can you do with this information? First, let's be absolutely clear. These revelations from Nick Williams represent an unprecedented insight into government dysfunction. This isn't partisan politics. This is about fundamental competence and honesty in managing the nation's finances. The evidence suggests we are facing 1. Inevitable tax increases this autumn. 2. Potential cuts to essential benefits like PIP. 3. Economic policies that even their architects don't believe will work. 4. A government running out of time to deliver meaningful change. This affects every single person watching right now. Your taxes, your benefits, your public services, your economic security. 1. Stay informed. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. As this story develops, we'll bring you updates with the same commitment to fact-based, verified reporting. 2. Contact your MP. Ask direct questions about Williams' allegations and demand transparent answers about the autumn budget plans. 3. Prepare financially if possible. Given the likelihood of tax increases, consult with financial advisors about legitimate ways to protect your assets and minimize your tax exposure. 4. Share this information. The more people who understand what's really happening, the more pressure there will be for genuine accountability. 5. Engage in the comments below. What do you think about these revelations? How will they affect you? Your insights help us shape our future coverage. So what can you do? The government is facing a crisis of credibility. Nick Williams has opened a window into the inner workings of power, and what we can see isn't pretty. In the coming days, we'll be releasing additional exclusive information from our sources within government. The truth deserves to be heard. And if you haven't yet, hit that like, subscribe, and click on the bell icon, because we're here to expose the truth, hold power to account, and fight for ordinary people.